Hey everybody, welcome to my family's greenhouse and nursery here in Posen, Michigan. And normally I'd be in the dirt bag right now, giving you the behind the scenes look at my family's business here and what goes on, behind the scenes at a nursery, a family run nursery like this. However, it is such a beautiful night right now. The temperature is gorgeous. The light is nice. The birds are out. Everything is kind of just right with the world. I am not going to be inside. I'm not going to be in a dirt bag, but I am still going to give you the behind the scenes look. So I was in Chicago for our opening weekend. Opening weekend went pretty well for everybody. I got back here, I think, what was that, on Tuesday? And we've been spending that whole week, or we had spent that whole week getting ready for Mother's Day weekend, which for anybody in this business, this is one of the busiest weekends of the year. So we had a lot of trucks coming in, so a lot of managing with that, getting the new plants in. We've kept a lot of the plants still on pallets because probably next week they're going to be starting to move into the greenhouses. So we're kind of just deciding, okay, we're not going to move them twice. We're going to keep them on these pallets. They're going to be just fine. But it was tricky because last week, with the weather being poor, we did have a lot of wind and a lot of temperatures below 20, between 26 and 28 degrees at night. That was not good for plants. So we did have to, the reason why they're on these platforms is because we did move them into the one of the barns and into the greenhouse overnight. So we were able to protect them. We didn't have too much damage. We had some grapes that got hit, but they're probably going to re-leaf pretty soon. They just lost the leaves that they had. So, but otherwise, I don't think we had too much damage, which we're very grateful for. Hopefully we don't have any more big freezes. We are going to probably get more frost before the 1st of June, but that's kind of how it is. But usually the plants that we have, they're hardened off enough, the ones that are outside anyway, so usually they make it through. Fingers crossed. Please don't let this be the year that we get some deep freeze on June 5th. It happens, but let's hope it's not this year, or well, we're in business, so that'll be a long time from now. Anyway, I'm thinking out loud here, but we did make it to Mother's Day, and let me just tell you, we were a little nervous the week before because sales were down, foot traffic was down. Like, we did not see the amount of people for that opening week that we normally see. So that was a little nerve-wracking because you can't help but start thinking like, oh, are people kind of slowing down their buying? Are people not going to come out? We had the big ice storm. Are people, did they have expenses with that they just don't have the money to be able to spend on plants? You start thinking of all these things when you're in this industry. Thankfully, Mother's Day weekend came and it blew our numbers out of the water. We have never had a busier Saturday. We've never had a busier Sunday. It was insane here. So this weekend proved to be incredible. It was more people, I think, than we've ever had on this property before, which proved to be logistically quite challenging. We did have somebody out there directing traffic, but even they couldn't keep up with everything that was going on. So it was wild, I will say that. So we made it through it, and it was a great success, and everyone seemed to be pretty happy, and hats off to our staff. I was up more by the register because we also had people picking up their pre-orders at that time, so I need to kind of be there to do that. So I don't know how things went back here with the trees and shrubs, but it seemed like people were pretty happy with how everything went. I have to say, up at the register, they were getting compliments left and right from people because they were so impressed at how quickly they were getting people through. I think, I was at a couple nurseries when I was traveling, and checkout isn't always the most efficient at a greenhouse and nursery because there's just so many different sizes and shapes of things and different ways that they have to enter them in, and adding them up just takes some time. But our folks did a really good job, and that was with 2 times the internet going out, and 1 time it was kind of noticeable, but everybody was really patient and calm with it, and we were able to kind of make a temporary solution work. And for the most part, only those people that were right at the register knew. The other people didn't even know. So they got lots of compliments on their efficiency. So hats off to them. People liked everybody that got to talk to. My mom got to spend time in the perennial house, which was a real good thing because she doesn't always get to be out there this time of year. Most of us don't, because when we're with annuals, when you have greenhouses full of annuals, they demand your attention. They're a little bit more work. They want you there. The perennials kind of say, hey, we'll hang out, we'll sit back and relax until it's our show time. So usually it's after the annuals sell that we really put a lot of energy into perennials. And it was really, I think my mom really enjoyed it. And it was nice for her to be, it was a little bit quieter there than it would have been up in the other greenhouses. So she was able to talk to people and really help them make some decisions and choices on what they're buying and what they were going to do. So it was kind of a nice change up for everybody, just having her back there. I think the customers loved it. So that was really nice. Otherwise, Things have been going pretty well. This week has been, this Friday is the deadline for pickups for our pre-orders. And so people ordered back in April, and this Friday they have to take everything home, which means as the week progresses, things get crazier and crazier because of course people want to wait till the very last day. And that's been kind of exhausting, I'm not gonna lie. There's just so much that goes into getting these orders back together because we do pull all the orders early on, but you know, the shade plants have to stay with shade, the sun plants have to go with sun, we have hanging basket areas, we have container areas, we have area for some of the tropicals. So it all just kind of requires a lot of running around to get everything together. And so we do ask people to schedule an appointment. We did have one woman who had to make a comment where she said, I'm just so surprised at how long it took to get my order. And I don't think it was more than like 12 minutes maybe. But I explained to her what was going on. And she said, well, you know what you need? You need to just build like some wooden shelves and you just have everybody's order on the wooden shelves. And I kind of wanted to say, wooden shelves or just shelves in general are really tricky. Like in greenhouses, we're always trying to think vertical because it is great. You could use more space. However, the lights got to be able to get the plants right. If you water, you've got to think about what's underneath those plants. Is it going to water it properly? And usually it's the shadier plants that you put on the bottom, which don't need as much water, but unfortunately the water, gravity kind of does its thing and fills them up. So we haven't quite figured out how to get those shelving units to work. So thanks for the suggestion, but we're not quite there yet, and I don't know anybody who's managed to do that. Even like hydroponic gardens have specially equipped kind of systems that are designed to be able to move the water through using some gravity and pumps and all that kind of stuff. And that's a fancy system. So our little system is the best we can do right now. But so that's been something else. It has been like right now it's Thursday or Wednesday night. Thursday and Friday are the big pickup days. So that's just a lot getting those orders organized. So like I already got all the orders for the morning pulled and the ones for the afternoon are grouped, but they're not on wagons or anything like that. So they're not ready for people to take out, but we could just zip into the storage area, put them on the thing and do a recount when the customer's there and go from there. But it's just such a crazy time. And we've just been busy with people, purchasing stuff. Our petunias are looking fantastic. So it's so nice to see like these big bouquets of petunias, especially after seeing what other places are selling. Like we're pretty proud of those petunias. Geraniums look great. We've got a lot of things that look good. There's a couple things though that we're struggling with, and we're just now seeing some signs from the big ice storm where we had, 11 days without electricity. During that time, we did lower the temperatures in the greenhouses, and we have a couple of plants that kind of went, I guess we'll say, a little bit dormant. They just kind of went into suspended animation. So they looked great and we didn't think we really had any damage, and they're not damaged, but it's been a month now and they're just now starting to wake up and put on new growth. And so unfortunately I have some online orders I've had to write people and say, look, the coleus isn't quite up to par. And it's not all the coleus, it's just certain varieties, a couple other things, they're just really sluggish right now. And we've never had to do that. We've had to really send, maybe there was a couple orders here or there over the years, but I had to send out quite a few emails tonight just saying, hey, just want to give you a heads up, the coleus isn't up to par. I set aside this for you, or, you can always do a switch out, or we can do a refund, whatever, whatever's going to work. It just complicates things so much when we have that going on. But, that's kind of how it goes when you're doing business. And as I'm talking about behind the scenes stuff, I was thinking about a comment that someone made this weekend, and it's something that we hear every once in a while, and it had to do with our business hours. And we have kind of strange business hours. We're open weekdays from 9 until 4, Saturdays until 2, and then on Sundays, in May only, we're open from 11 to 2. And it's a little bit of an early closing time maybe than what some places might do, but we just found that's what works for us. It's kind of the hours that we've been able to identify as when we can give the best customer service, because a lot of people don't realize when you're in this kind of business, a lot of the work has to be done when it's cooler in the morning. So we have staff here, at 6 in the morning, watering and moving plants and getting stuff ready for the day. And we don't have a big staff. So we're not like a big kind of chain place. We don't do really high volume. We move a lot of plants, but people might be surprised. Like if you compared probably what we sell compared to what like the Walmart 35 miles away sells. We probably don't even come close to that. And people are shocked to hear that because they come here and they see all this stuff. But I'm like, yeah, but this is our inventory for the whole season. They're getting new trucks in all the time. And I don't know what they actually sell, but it is one of those things where I don't think people realize that part of it. So we chose those hours because we know that we're going to be able to give the best service we can. Over the last 30 years, we have tried a lot of things with hours. So we used to always be open till 5 o'clock. And truth be told, that last hour was always quite sluggish. There'd be a couple days when we'd have really good sales at the end of the day, but they were pretty far and few between. It was usually just this kind of gradual wind down. Usually after 3 o'clock, things get a little bit quieter. May is maybe a different month. It probably would be a benefit in May to be open a little longer, but we just don't have the staff, and to amp up on staff for 1 month for us, there just isn't the workforce here to be able to do that, because people don't also realize our geography. So we are in a rural area, and we're not in any kind of suburban area where people commute very much, and we're not on a main road that people are commuting on all the time or traveling down all the time. So we have a little bit different situation, I think, than people who are outside of maybe a major, not even a major city, but even minor cities. They would get that traffic after work. And we've tried the later hours because people said, let's face it, when we were open till 5, people said we had to be open till 6. So we tried later hours, and we really didn't see the people come, in part because we're a little bit different in the sense that probably most of our customers definitely travel at least 20 minutes to get to us. But I'd say, a majority of customers actually probably travel 45 minutes or maybe an hour or more to come to us, just because of the way our region is. And so that's not as common, I think. I think a lot of people are used to garden centers that are more in suburban areas. And I always hear this, I hear garden centers say oh, we're out in the country. I remember when I lived out in Milwaukee, they'd be like, oh, we're out in the country. And I'm like, you are 12 minutes away from a TJ Maxx. You are not out in the country. You might be in a rural area, but you're not out in the country. You're out in the middle. You're not out in the middle of nowhere. That's what they always say. Well, we're out in the middle of nowhere. I'm going, yeah, you can get on the highway, in 4 minutes. So you're doing just fine. Even here, like I said, I can be to Walmart in 30 minutes or less. And I think, well, that's not really remote. If you can be to a Walmart in 30 minutes, that's remote. I mean, we're rural, but that's not remote. Come on. There's people who have to travel hours to be able to get to a major store or anything like that. So I don't know. I'm going all over the place today. So you're getting a behind the scenes and what's going on in Corey's head. And remember, I've been counting orders and moving orders out all this week. So my brain is kind of mushy right now, but if you guys didn't like it, you just click off and move on to the next video, right? What else should I tell you about? Well, this weekend's coming up, and should be, another solid weekend, although the weather's not supposed to be as nice as it was last weekend, but that's going to be fine. Otherwise, yeah, I'm aside from those couple of plants that aren't doing well, and then that also affects us when people come here and they want to see coleus. Angelonia is another one that we have it, but it's just like last year our Angelonia was so beautiful and our coleus was so beautiful, and so we're the type of place where we actually move it out. We don't put it in the public area if it looks that bad, because if it's not up to par, it shouldn't be out there. And there's even a couple things right now that we're already thinking we should probably move that in the back, but then it's not that bad, and it's better than I've seen at some other places. But I don't know, we're just funny that way. I don't know. I guess every business is different, and every place has to make kind of choices that are going to be best for them. And also, this is another thing I was thinking about as I was sorting orders, was when it came to those hours, the other thing we have considered was, could we do full service hours for part of the day and then have just kind of minimal, more cashier service later on in the day. But we find that anytime that our core staff aren't here, we had a family wedding or funeral before, and when we're not here, it's amazing. Even if we're telling the public, hey, we're going to have limited support on this day, because people have traveled such a distance, they are coming here. They want to know about each tree, and they have a lot of questions about their landscaping or about their care or about whatever they're working on. And so we're the kind of place that people go to ask those kind of questions. And so people don't have it in their head that they're going to ever come here. I guess we've set the expectation maybe a little too high, that they're going to just come here and it's going to be like going to a box store where they just pick out their plants and there's just a cash exchange and they leave. I guess we're not good at that kind of thing. So that's not in the works, or not something that we're planning to do. So that's part of it. We also, we would love it if we could be closed like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Like we could get so much done on those days if we didn't have public here. But like after May is done, we're not going to be open when we're closed on Sunday. We get people complaining that we're not open on Sundays. I can only imagine the complaints we get if we weren't open Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I just don't think that's necessarily an option. And it is tricky because my parents do live on the property, so people do expect that they should be open all the time. That they can just pop down, but they used to do that. Like when they first opened this business, like people would be showing up at 8 o'clock at night, and they would be giving them the full service, and you just can't keep your sanity in that situation. And in the end, you actually don't make any money. You're probably losing money because you're losing your energy, you're losing your mind, and you're losing money. So it doesn't really work out. So I guess I'm just saying all this so that you think about this when you have a small business, and maybe they have hours that you find a little bit odd, or maybe it's a restaurant and you don't understand why they're not open for breakfast or not open for dinner. And a lot of times I think, these businesses would love to be able to accommodate every request, but they know that they have to make the decisions that are best for them, and then they have to stick by them. And fortunately, our customers have been very positive about this. And also, we tend to be busier earlier in the day. We are not the kind of place that gets busy in the afternoon. We have busy afternoons, don't get me wrong, and we do have people that want to shop in the afternoon, but it tends to be the people who come to us tend to get here usually before 1 o'clock. That's, we really see that bunch of people arrive, especially starting from 11 until 1. That's kind of core time. 2 sometimes can be busy, and then after that, everything winds down. So anyway, that's our business. Every business is going to be different. So I'm just throwing all this out there. I don't mean to be blathering on like this, but I guess I'm a little weary, and so I'm just talking like a weary person. I will have some more planting videos coming up, so I'm looking forward to getting those in. I have the plants set aside because we are going to be sold out of a lot of stuff. Actually, we are already selling out of stuff. So yesterday I went through and I was like, oh, I definitely want to tell people about this, and I want to put this in one of those pots. So I have plants set aside for you guys. I will be doing more videos, and I've got, I think, some pretty cool plants to show you. So I'm looking forward to it. So thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. And I do appreciate my last behind the scenes video, the positive comments that you gave. I wasn't upset or anything by some of the negative comments that had come in that previous week. But I guess I was just talking about it more because it was on my mind. So it is something I do think about sometimes. And I'm really realizing, like, if there's YouTubers out there that you're watching regularly and you really do enjoy their content and you haven't left them a comment, leave them a comment this week. And it can just be like, hey, love you, or even better, comment on one specific part of the video that you liked. Like, give them a compliment on a choice that they made or something that they said, because it does tell them that you're listening, and it also kind of lets them know, like, oh, that's the kind of stuff that they want to hear more of, or that's when I was really shining in this video. So I guess I'm just saying, put that energy out there, because we do get some of the negative stuff, and we love it when we get the positive. So I'm just speaking on behalf of the general YouTube garden community, I guess. Give us some good comments, give us some likes, all that good stuff. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to have some more videos soon, and I'll see you then.